Hi and welcome to day 4 of week 6 of the training cycle 2 of 2021. Fatigue is massively starting to set in at this point. The need to sleep is overwhelming. I'm walking through the majority of every single day, probably 80% of my waking time. I think about, just sleeping probably multiple times per hour, almost every single hour of the day. Going to bed really late, mainly just because I don't want to start training because it's so tiring and it takes so long. So I don't want to start, and then I have to start training really late in the evening. And then I have to go to bed really late. I have to do all my stretching because it isn't just like I have to do a couple sets and then I'm done. No. I have to do a shit ton of different exercises, different sets, different weights, set all the weights up, put everything in place and everything in order, and rest long between sets so that I don't get stapled with really heavy weights and injure myself. Just do all the fucking exercises, then walk downstairs, try to recuperate all your sore muscles and figure out a way to jump rope for a lifetime record again, which every single day is a lifetime record right now on the jump rope, except for Sundays. Sundays I do, it's a run day, but that is a lot harder than the jump rope for sure. It is a lot more painful, it takes a lot more out of you, it's much more of a recovery, it has a larger recovery component to it than simply just jumping up and down in one spot. The reason for that is obviously when you're running, you hit the ground with one leg at a time, so you get twice as much force through each leg, which that takes a toll. And then also, in jump rope, you're bouncing kind of on your, on the balls of your feet, whereas in running, you're hitting with your heel first. Now, a lot of people will say, why don't you just toe strike? Well, running on your toes, you guys can try that. That isn't really how my body works. I understand a lot of people are talking about hitting with the midfoot, but I can't make it work. It doesn't feel natural. It feels weird. It only really works when you're running barefoot. So yeah, I failed 97.5 twice, and you'll notice that I pop off the chest well, and then it just stops. So as soon as delts and triceps become a part of the bench, I fail it. So that's very disappointing. I'm starting to lose weight again, so I'm going to have to go for a lot of more effort and pain to eat more food. I have been doing well this year so far. I've gained pretty much 4.5 kilos, give or take. So I have gained weight, but I don't want to lose it again. Because I'm a skinny guy at heart. That's what my genetics do. That's kind of the person I am. I'm just naturally weak and skinny, and I have to put in a lot of work to gain weight and to gain significant strength, right? I've been training for well past 3 years, right? 3 years and like more than 3 1/3 years. Can you say that? Like, pretty soon, I will have trained for 1/3 of a decade, right? 1/3 of a decade, and I have nothing to show for it. I can't even bench press 100 kilos, right? And I'm 17. It's not like I'm 14, then I would have an excuse. I'm 17 years old. I've been training for, pretty much my whole, older teenage life. And still, I can't even bench press 100. And this has been my obsession for many years. So that just shows lack of dedication, lack of commitment, lack of ability to go through pain and ability to actually do stuff, ability to go through, training cycle after training cycle, strenuous cycles after each other, all right? Because that's what I'm going to do this year. It's not just about doing one training cycle. It's about doing one, resting a week, doing another one. By the way, when I say a training cycle, they literally take 3 months, right? So I'm going to do a training cycle. Well, I did a training cycle from late December to, I don't know, whatever. It was like a 12-week training cycle. Then, straight after, I had like a weird holiday in the middle, a 1 week holiday, but straight after that, I went into training cycle 2, which is the one I'm doing right now. Straight after this, I'm probably going to take like, not even take any time off, most likely. I'm going to go straight into training cycle 3, which is a cardio training cycle. It's going to be the hardest training cycle of the year, most likely, apart from the last one. Then after the summer break, it's training cycle 4. Now school's going to pick up. It's going to get really difficult towards the end. And I'm probably really, truly, actually going to hate my life. It has to be done. Training cycle 4 is probably going to be the most difficult training cycle. And that is because I will be the most advanced then. I will be closer to my full potential. And it will become more and more difficult to gain the amounts of muscle required to get that level of strength improvement that the program calls for. Same thing with the running. The body doesn't want to create, a bunch of blood for the running. Your body doesn't want to increase your red blood cell count. Your body wants to stay the same, and it wants to suck. It wants you to be just basically a skeleton with a ton of fat and no muscle at all, so you don't burn any calories. And that's what your body just naturally wants you to do. My body personally doesn't really work that way. It just wants me to be skinny, period. I don't really understand why, evolutionarily, why a human body would benefit from being skinny and from having a low appetite. I don't understand that. I don't get how that works. Because it's not like I'm a tall person. I'm 181 centimeters, so I'm pretty much average height for my generation, at least. Since every generation we get taller, right? But I mean, I'm the same height as, or even less than, pretty much everyone I know around the same age. So if that's the case, then it isn't even a case of just growing in height first and then growing in density and thickness and width. It isn't even about that. It's just simply about like my frame isn't filling out properly, and we need to force those things. We need to force it because muscle. Yeah, I went really fast in these rows here. I just wanted to get through it, just get rid of the pain. Yeah, I hate rows. I hate everything. It's not like I'm going to give up or anything because I'm not a pathetic loser, but I'm pretty soon going to be halfway through this training cycle, and basically the second half is always harder than the first half. So yeah, it's just going to be just more pain. Just keep going, continue, battle through. It's all about consistency. That's all it really boils down to, is really consistently actually putting in serious effort. And every couple of weeks or so, the effort level has to ramp up. You have to work exponentially harder to get the same linear results, if that makes sense. So if you want to make 2.5 kilos of squat progress per week, first couple of weeks, pretty easy, right? Then the more weeks go by, the more things you need to do to make that happen. So you have to put in exponential effort and exponential time for even diminishing returns at some points, in some cases. And that's where you really test yourself, is when nothing's going well, you're way behind the schedule, nothing's moving anywhere, you're just getting weaker, you're banged up, and now you need to figure out a way to get massively stronger. Like that's where the mindset comes in. And that's where, not just the mindset, not just pushing yourself, that's where intelligent planning and true discipline and consistency comes in. And my grip strength is terrible. I tried to lift 125, didn't work. Tried it again and again and again, still didn't work. So I just went 100 afterwards, which I always do, and it was harder than usual, but it was easy. And this just shows that grip is weak. Grip is actually absolutely weak. I can't even budge 125, and I know that here my grip is fatigued, but it shouldn't make enough of a difference to where I can't even budget. So it is pretty clear that my grip is weak, and I mean, if I were to lose, say, 5 kilos of grip strength, now all of a sudden I can't grip my double overhand deadlifts, and I would rather have 5 kilos more grip strength, to be honest, than to lose 5 kilos. So we need to figure out a way to complete these. And previously, my strategy has just been to have a really long break between the chin-ups and these, because the rows and the chin-up, like, I do deadlifts first, then chin-ups, deadlifts first, then rows, then chin-ups. So that takes a lot out of your grip. It fatigues your grip. And then after that, you have to do these double overhands, which are like 1,000% grip. The only limiting factor is the grip, no other muscle group. So it's difficult to balance all these different exercises, but I'm going to keep this same concept. It isn't really about a program issue, it's about a lifestyle issue, and it's 1,000% self-inflicted. That's why I don't really feel sorry for myself. I think that my life kind of sucks, but I don't necessarily pity myself, if that makes sense. It's just, I'm not focused on, it's like, I'm not like watching myself being pain, I'm just in pain, if that makes sense. And when I say pain, I don't mean like emotional pain. It's just a case of being very tired, sleeping 6 hours or less on school nights and trying to do all this fucking training and just walking around like a zombie, really trying to focus, I actually, surprisingly, I don't get headaches. A lot of people I know get pretty serious headaches when they don't sleep a lot, but then again, pretty much everyone I know sleeps less than me. So, it's literally a case of, I know a lot of people who sleep less than me, are stronger than me, have better grades than me, who are taller than me, like, better than me in every way. And I think that's very important. I think it's important that we don't surround ourselves with weak people. We have to surround ourselves with strong people, so we become stronger ourselves. And, yeah. But it is kind of annoying when, like, you literally have classmates that have you beat in every single area, including your own hobbies. Yeah, that is really annoying to even in the same classroom just be sitting with people who can outbench you, out squat you, out deadlift you, who are just better than you in every way. That is the kind of stuff that just makes me angry. It should drive me, and it does to an extent, but it mainly just makes me disappointed in myself. But then again, it's not the kind of disappointment to where I'm like, I don't know. It's just like, I just acknowledge it as a fact and I move on and I'm gonna keep making progress, and pretty soon I'm gonna be the strongest guy, at least in my class. And then the goal is to be the strongest guy in school. But I do believe the strongest guy in school isn't that much stronger than the guys in my class, so it's more a case of, can I put on the weight? As long as I can put the weight on and find the time to sleep, then I'm going to be the strongest guy in my school, most likely. But right now, nowhere near. I probably need to put like 20 kilos on my bench press for that to be true, maybe even more. Yeah, I don't know who's the strongest bencher in my school, but I believe the strongest bench that we have is like 115 or something. And then I have 2 guys in my class that can bench 105. I have another guy who can bench 90. I can bench, 95 at this point. Haven't been able to bench 97 yet. And I have two guys in my class that out deadlift me. One deadlifts 155, so he out deadlifts me by 2.5 kilos. And we have another guy in my class who deadlifts 165. So he out deadlifts me by 12.5 kilos. Then I also have a guy who out squats me by almost 40 kilos. He squats 160 and benches 105. So that's really just, those numbers are hard to reach, hard to beat. As a matter of fact, my goal for this entire year is a 160 bench press, right? So, no, a 160 squat. So these goals are insane, difficult, just, it sucks. Like, in theory, it's easy. You just do this weight this week, that the next, you add these exercises here and there. Like, it's easy in theory, but in practice, it's just dragging yourself through endless workouts with no rest days. Literally, that's what I'm doing. I'm dragging myself through just weeks upon weeks, like literally months in a row without rest days, to where every single week, pretty much every single thing gets worse. And I'm often sleeping less and less as I'm going, because like I started. Oh, it's so hard. I had a holiday last week, and I'm already fucking tired, like just smashed. Walking around in the constant need for sleep, and I have to make these videos, and I have to do my stretching, and the thing is, all of this could just be easily solved, all these problems, if I just started training as soon as I got home from school. But then again, it's like you come home from school, you're exhausted, so now you want to rest, right? And now it's late in the evening and you have to start training. You have to train for, 2.5+ hours with the jump rope and everything, and make the video. And like my voiceovers at this point, it isn't just a couple of minutes. We're talking about like well over 20 minutes. So like even these are taking longer and longer. So pretty much every aspect of my life right now is getting more difficult, but it's not like it's unbearable. I know, like I say, I know people that beat me in every area. I know people who work harder than me, who study a lot more than I do. I don't think I know anyone who currently trains more than I do, but then again, they don't need to train harder than me. They're already stronger. So why would they need to train hard, if that makes sense? Like, training hard isn't as impressive as having good numbers, in my opinion. Like, if you train really hard but have nothing to show for it, then I'm not impressed, That's just the way it is for me. It's like training hard is a process, it's a way, it's a key to unlocking that strength, but the actual strength is what is impressive. It's not the daily grind, because anyone can just grind away at something, but few reach those elite numbers. I think in this set my lower back gave out a little bit, and I rounded like really badly on one of that one. These are difficult. I did 50 kilos yesterday, and just 2.5 kilos more just literally made the exercise way more difficult. So this is the weight I'm going to be working with tomorrow, and then the whole of next week, 5 days next week, same weight, and then it increases. So I've been increasing from basically an empty bar to 52.5 kilos every single day, or at least 5 days a week. I've been adding 2.5 kilos to this. Finally, I reached what I should be able to do theoretically according to my calculations. I've never done the exercise, but I figured with the kind of lower back angles that we're achieving, with the stance, when you take into account my weak links like my lower back, mid back and hamstrings, when you figure out, when you account for fatigue factors, doing glute bridges and hamstring work before and deadlifts and rows. Basically, I ran a bunch of calculations before this training cycle, and I kind of figured out that I should be able to do around a third of what I plan to deadlift on this exercise for 3 sets of 10, and that's about right. It's about right. I can basically do 3 sets of 10 with a third of my deadlift right now. These reps weren't perfect, but my math is correct. So at least I'm not that bad at math. Goodbye.